All right, we are live. Welcome. Looking forward to today's session for sure. We're going to give it just a couple minutes for people to come in. Do me a favor as you come in, post a comment where you're from. Any high level comments are perfect. USA World Cup comments. As long as they're saying, "Damn, sorry we lost," that's fine. But anything else, no. I'm Jon Tilley coming in from Los Angeles today. And today is all about the integration between Helix, our structured listing engineering product, and MCP access to Claude and to ChatGPT. It's going to be pretty epic today. And I just want to make sure that people can hear me loud and clear, and that we get a couple of comments of people coming in. I know we have Evo in the background who is always helping with webinars. And we also have a special guest today, Daniel Richman, who is the Director of Managed Services at ZonGuru. And he's going to come in with some real live applications around the MCP access. So, all right, I'm not seeing any comments, so I'm not sure yet if we are live and kicking. But if I can get at least one comment to start us off, that would be great. One thing I've dropped at the top in terms of the comments is I've added in the a couple of resources there, right? So you have my LinkedIn. That's worth following. We post on there for upcoming webinars that are coming out. Ones like this where we do workshops and other valuable. What's up? Thank you guys for dropping in. Kerry, all good. Good to see you, Mohammed. Good to see you from Pakistan. Yeah, let me know where you're from. It's always cool to see all the places that that everyone is in coming in from. So looking forward to it. So a couple of resources at the top. So LinkedIn, definitely follow that. There's some really solid content there. Also related to our blog around Amazon GEO, right? So how do you optimize content for Amazon? The algorithm. This is where we're deep in, and so there's a lot of good content there. But we also post about upcoming webinars. There's a readiness report there. So this is a free resource that we have. If you want to score your current listing, you can get access to that. Just go to zonguru.link/CosmoRS. And that is literally if you want to check your current listing, if you want to check for the new character count, that's a free resource. It'll actually give you the solution in terms of what you need for your 75 character counts and item highlights based on your current listing that you have. So check that one out. And then our newsletter, if you sign up there, you will know the first and foremost everything around Amazon's AI moment, the algorithm, and links to our blog when new blog content comes out, and obviously upcoming webinars, not only the ones that we do, but partner ones that we go on where there's a lot of other good partner valuable content as well. So jump in there and check it out. All right, a few more comments, guys. I want to make sure that everyone is here, and we have a lot of signups today. So I know you're there. There's a lot of interest around the webinar today, or the workshop at least, around MCP access to Claude and ChatGPT, and how that works with Helix, our brand new product around structured listing engineering. So let me know where you're from at least, so we know everything's happening here and that you can hear me. And then I'm going to start sharing my screen, and we're going to run through everything today. So and then thanks again for Evo on the back there, and for Daniel as well. So good to have you guys on board. Okay, so lots to go through today. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to jump in. Let me just share. Tim, what's happening? Thank you. That Wisconsin? I think so. Wow, interesting. Cool spot. Atlanta, hot Atlanta. Yeah. Good games there. Yeah, if anybody's following the World Cup, it's been pretty epic so far. I would say my favorite game so far was England versus Mexico at the Azteca, which is unbelievable. So whether you're not a soccer fan or not, it was a great game. Ian, what's happening? Always good to see you. Deborah, yes. Crane, always coming to Seattle. Dude, I hope you went to the game, man. That looked epic yesterday. That stadium was another level. Kerry, Seattle as well. Boise, close to my heart. I go there often. Good to see you there, Steve. Yeah, so lots of here we go. I was about to say not much from the England side, but we got Manchester coming through. Haaland, Manchester City. Yeah, a good character, that guy. I think the American public's falling in love with old Norway there. So I think they're going to be big supporters of Norway moving forward in the World Cup. So all right, enough World Cup talk. I know not everyone here is following. Let me share my screen. We're going to start going through the plan for today. Man United, nice. All right, share screen. Here we go. All right. Okay, let me pull this to the side so I can see you guys. All right. Good. Okay, so everyone can see my screen? Yes, we can see it. This workshop's for you guys, right? So the more questions I can get, between myself and Daniel Richman, our head of the managed services side, who is deep in on Amazon optimization with the team. The more questions we get from you guys, the more we can answer them in the flow right here. We can help you. Hopefully, this is a workshop style. So if you don't have your Helix account yet, you should be getting one, and you can connect your MCP live with us. Or if you have it connected, great. You can start playing around with some use cases as we go. We have a pretty epic session today. We're gonna keep this tight and run as quickly as we can. But we have 90 minutes scheduled, and that includes going through real live use cases with Claude and ChatGPT connected to Helix. Some really interesting ones. We've called out a few, and I'll give you a sneak peek of what that is in a second. We also have, towards the end, we'll be able to give you links so that you can get access to the prompt library, so you can actually get those templates for yourself, and you can use them yourself. And that's just the beginning, because we're going to be building a lot on top of those templates. And then we also have an offer for Helix towards the end as well that we'll give you. But yeah, and then also a tool showcase. So we will be able to show you some of the prompts, but talk to even more use cases that you can get through your access through MCP, all those customizations that you need to do. We'll also talk a little bit about Helix, jump into that. And then, towards the end there, we're going to bring Daniel on again that I mentioned, and he's going to talk about it from, a deep level of expertise around the managed service side and how we're doing this across multiple accounts, and what are some of the use cases that we need to use MCP access to get at sales data, to get at listing transformation data, to help with obviously the 75 character count deadline that's coming up. How are we using it in that fashion? There's a whole bunch that are going to come through there. So looking forward to it. Ian, you're the first one to offer to come up with that. Yes, there will be a recording, 100%. And I'll give you a QR code to the end of this, so you'll get access to this full asset that I'm going through today, plus the prompt library. Plus, you'll be getting the recording. And after we finish with this, you'll get an email with a link to all of those assets, right? So we want to make sure that you guys have everything, and we can go through that. So welcome again. So let's jump in. All right, we are a couple of minutes in. We've got a lot to get through here. So if you don't know who ZonGuru is, we've been around now for 7-8 years, I think, around there. Really focused on creating various tools for sellers and for agencies, for brands and for agencies, into how to manage your Amazon business. And our true, kind of tentpole has always been around reverse engineering Amazon's algorithm for better visibility, for better, discoverability. And that has been a massive focus of ours, obviously around this AI moment that has been happening on Amazon with the new algorithm that drives Alexa for shopping. It's an intelligent algorithm, that competes with everything else that we have in the space, like ChatGPT, researching products, etc., conversational search, and an algorithm that drives that, but also drives your organic ranking. And how has that changed? And what does that mean for your content, right? And how do you signal that in the best way? And that's what we focused on. We absolutely are leading the charge there with our products, specifically Helix. We've done over 5,000 plus listings with incredible results that we're seeing. Increasing session rates, conversion rates, ranking, revenue, obviously, right? And just making sure you're signaling for all the different, ways that you can now optimize, right? For keyword, of course, which is always critical, but now for buyer Q&A, for Alexa for shopping, there's some really interesting stuff there. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. My goal here is not to kind of like get in and deep sell you on like Helix and showing you all of the products there. I wanted to focus a lot more on MCP. You guys are going to figure out the whole Helix side in a lot of detail. I'm going to skim through the high level on that, but I'm not doing a deep dive into how to use Helix, right? That we've done past webinars on that. There's a lot of videos, there's things there that you guys can watch to really understand how to go through it. I'm going to touch on why it's important for sure, but we're going to focus a lot more on the use cases, the practical application of, once you have the Helix transformations done and you want to customize it in certain ways, how do you do that? And how can you do that in a powerful way with the MCP access, which is free, by the way. So that's going to be a question that comes up, like how much do you charge for the MCP? It's free. You get a registration with Helix, you get access to all your sales data, and you get access to MCP all for free. So there you go. Present number one for today. Cool. Deborah, I heard Amazon is rewarding listings that have already done the 75 count. So yes, I mean, what we're seeing already is, Amazon's going ahead and especially on mobile, they are already using their AI to transform your character counts. And the results are disastrous, in my opinion, already. We've looked at a bunch of listings that have been, automatically changed, without going through and controlling that yourself. And the AI is not doing a good job at all on Amazon's side, right? So the key there, again, and everyone's going to talk about the 75 character count, is like, you need to control that, right? You need to be very specific about how you're doing it. We have that inside of Helix. It's going to give you the actual solution in terms of doing the deep research on the right keywords in the right order, in the right way with the item highlights. All of that kind of stuff is handled inside of Helix already. We were the first to market with that. But yes, again, if Amazon needs the structured data, this is them raising their hand again, saying, hey, if we're going to be AI focused, our baseline is AI, we need structured data in the right way so that we know how to surface you in the right way. And this is one of their plays of doing that, and saying, hey, we need a better structure for your title, item highlights. You guys need to redo that because you've stuffed it full of keywords for X many of times. We're just going to put a deadline on that. So read between the lines. Amazon's saying, hey, give us better structured data so we can serve you in the right way. And if you don't do it, we're going to do it for you. You need to do it yourself. You have that deadline that's coming up. And, if Amazon says do something, if you play the game, it's going to reward you. So absolutely, Deborah, I agree with you there. Yes, the deadline, Kerry, is July 27th. We haven't heard anything different. It's the 27th, but what they're going to do is start pushing it out. But you have to then, obviously accept it or not accept it, right? And so, you have some time after that, but you'll talk to Daniel. He's on our managed service side. We're full gung ho on helping brands to get ahead of this before Amazon decides to do it for you, which is not good, right? And there's clearly you can do it to your current listings as they stand, but you might be missing a trick on actual focusing on the right keywords in the right way. Helix will help you with that. Can listings previously run as ZonGuru be updated with a new title? Yes. And then, in fact, you can even just do that with that Cosmo readiness report that I have. If you run that on your current listing, if it's already been optimized, it'll give you the new title straight there for free. But to be honest, if you've done the transformation, this is a great practical example of how you can use Claude through MCP, because it's really just taking the current listing and then formatting in the right way. We've got some practical examples. We'll show you exactly how to do that when we jump into it. Okay, I'm going to keep jamming because I want to make sure that we get through everything here. Unpopular opinion. Anyone can prompt ChatGPT to write a listing. Almost none of them are feeding it anything true. And I 100% agree with this. This is something that we see so often. Is everyone's like, oh, well, I can just jump into ChatGPT and write a full listing, or I can do it with Claude, right? And yes, it's going to take you to a certain level, but it's surface level. You need the deep research, right? And this is, you need the power of something like Helix, which we've developed, which has connection to first party data out of Amazon. Obviously everything else that we can get from LLMs. We do deep research, brand analytics data, product opportunity explorer data, all of these things, and then feed it through an AI system in obviously the secret sauce that we have to figure out the right things for you and to present the data in the right way so that you can signal for obviously better discoverability. And then, as important, make sure that you're positioning your product in the best way for customer connection and conversion, right? And so we always optimize for two things: human conversion and for AI discoverability. And those things are critical. And that's being solved on a level that something like any surface level LLM cannot, right? So you're missing the trick if you think you can just put anything through Claude or ChatGPT and have a result, and you can test that, put that in, versus ours, you're not going to get the result that you want with just ChatGPT, right? So I 100% agree with that. All right, sneak peek. So this is what we're going to cover today. Hopefully you guys can see my screen. Let me know if it's a little small. I can always, let me just do that right now. I'll just increase it a little bit more. Let's go up here. Yeah, I think that'll be better. Let's see. Okay, so sneak peek. What are we looking at today? I'm going to start with one of the good ones, right? So a full image carousel rebuild with Helix. So taking the images that are currently on a listing, we're doing it actually with a $1 billion brand. I'm going to show it to you. So they obviously have good images, and I'm going to show you how much better it gets by doing it through Helix. So, we'll talk about what Helix does, but we give you all the insights, the positioning, how you should have the visual narrative that should be happening in your images, and the prompts that you should give to an image generator. And in this case with MCP, we're just connecting it straight to an image generator, ChatGPT, and voila, you get your images, which frankly, I think is just in that state, you can use over what's currently in there as well, right? So that's a pretty cool one. We're going to start with that one. We're going to reformat listings in bulk, right? So I want to show you how that can work. So everyone might have a customized aspect that they need, around a listing, for example. Things in apparel, the actual bullet count is 200, right? So how do you reformat that into 200 without losing the core essence of what you have? We're going to go through that. A live listing, we're going to go through, how you can actually use a current listing for a different marketplace, right? So how do you take the essence of what is in Helix, which is obviously structured for LLMs and GEO, which works across different platforms, and reformat it for a different marketplace. A full brand strategy document. This is one of my favorites. Is like, you're an agency, you're a brand. You having an actual strategic document that covers your brand, from brand tone, brand voice, all of these things that Helix solves for. Positioning, right? Positioning is one of the most critical things. It's the marketing mecca. How do you position your product around what do customers actually want? What makes your product unique? And how does it differentiate you from your customers in terms of differentiation? If you can get that positioning right and call it out, that's how you connect with customers. This does it for you. Bang, straight there. Gives you a full document that you can give to anyone that's working on your business. And then we give you a whole bunch of prompts that you can take home. We talked to Daniel about some other real applications. And then we also show you the tool showcase and a trick of how you can actually get those tool showcases direct from Helix, right? There's a way you can actually see where every single a tool is available, so you can think of other ways that you can use that. And what's cool is that you have sales data layered on top of Helix, which is obviously epic. All right, let's jump in. So what is Helix? So we have ZonGuru.com. If you're on the homepage, or we have a link for you later with the discounts, you can sign up to our Helix, which is our AI forward product specifically around structured listing engineering for your content for Amazon's AI moments, right? So with Alexa for shopping, we all know what happened early on in May. The rebrand of Rufus for Alexa for shopping, Amazon's intent to own the conversational search experience, and the Cosmo algorithm that drives it, which has to be of a quality level, so that experience is good. And how do you optimize for that, right? And so Helix does, number one, the deep research, right? So using AI in the right way to connect to first-party data, to do the deep research of your niche, to understand how to position your product, right? To connect with customers, how to make it unique. This is the kind of thing that people will just smack their head and go, I can't believe I haven't thought about that, before. So we help you see the forest from the trees and do the deep research to connect with customers. We then map it technically for Cosmo, and we do the buyer Q&A reverse engineering. We've had major experts come on and test our system versus what they have, and they're blown away by how we do that, and that we figure out all the common questions on the buyer Q&A side for research and for buyer decision making, right? So we do that, and then we obviously engineer the copy, right? We give you the copy, and we give you the image insights that you can then execute on to get the best listings and get the best results, right? So that is Helix. A quick note on structured listing engineering. Yes, it's the semantic coverage mapping, the product knowledge graph. If you don't know what that is, look at past webinars I've done. We go into the actual technical mapping that's given to us directly from Amazon of how you need to answer questions for the algorithm, so it understands how to surface you. The Q&A coverage, the reverse engineering around the common questions that people have around your product. The backend attributes, the eligibility, ensuring that you're filling out the backend properly in the right way, all the way through to the description. Like any content there has to be filled out, right? Because the AI needs to read that, including even the alt tags on your images. And then the last one is audience fit, right? So Amazon also announced the About You section, which is the you can select your profile on Amazon, right? You can do personal, business, whatever it is. But when you get recommendations through Alexa for shopping, you see the personalization come through, right? And so how do we ensure that you're connecting with your audience? It's about understanding your target audience and their needs, right? So you've got to make sure that you have that covered. Okay, questions, guys, keep them coming. I'm going to keep rolling. We're going to get to the good stuff right now. We talk about why now for a second. So why do we need to change listings, right? Obviously the title cap deadline is something that you need to change, but the point is that's a catalyst, right? Is that if you just change your title, you're missing the point, right? This is about structuring your whole piece of content for Amazon's algorithm. It's so critical. If you are looking at your listings now because of the title character, take the opportunity to do the rest of your content, right? Because not only is it about using a product like Helix to position and connect with customers, but it's number two, which is obviously ensuring that you're signaling the AI and you're exposing yourself to this 300 million plus customers that are now using Alexa for shopping, right? You've got to get in there. And to Deborah's point, if you're not aligning with Amazon, you're missing out on traffic and you're missing out on getting represented. So align with them, you're going to get more. Alexa for shopping is moving fast. I've shown this in previous webinars. Literally, you can type in something like I typed in swing ball set. I was looking for my kids, and instead of it returning the search results, it actually returned Alexa for shopping directly. So Amazon is testing this all the time, and they're not serving the traditional SERP results. They actually are surfacing Alexa for shopping, right? And it's all about conversion. So keyword stuff listings don't convert. You have to now, the beautiful thing about this change is like you now can create these amazing listings that breathe and talk about your brand, talk about your USP, your unique selling proposition, connect with customers, and more importantly, answer all the questions when people are coming through Alexa for shopping, so they get the answers to what they're expecting, right? And they validate and they purchase. And so your content is critical for ensuring that you answer the questions, and more importantly, your image stack and the narrative you tell there is so critical now, because people are almost making the decision before they get your PDP. So once they get to the PDP, they just want to validate by looking at your images, your price, your reviews, and they convert, right? So conversion is critical. And if you just have content that is just full of keywords and doesn't make any sense like we have in the past, you're in trouble, right? So that's important. MCP, what is MCP? Okay, so we're going to show you that right now. Let me guys, give me a thumbs up. Let me hear if there's any other questions. I want to make sure that I am jamming through this at the right pace for you guys and answering questions and getting into the stuff that you want to talk about. We're going to jump in and look at MCP access. So what is it? I want to just high level first. The hero in this case is not ChatGPT or Claude. Maybe I'm biased, but the hero is obviously Helix, right? Because it's the structured listing engineering, the solution, the brain is there, right? And we have obviously UI, UX, and a full experience around that, where you get your final listings in the right way for Amazon. But there are cases, right? And we have this all day, every day, where you need to do something in a customized way, or you have a need that is not solved for, within the UX and the UI of Helix. And this is where you can connect to through MCP, and then you can obviously have that direct connection inside of Claude. It has full access to all of your data inside of Helix, and you can ask prompts, normal questions you have inside of Claude or ChatGPT, and it will pull directly from Helix and then customize the solution to whatever you need, right? So if you need shorter bullets, character counts, images, all of those things are obviously available. And the cool part is that we've also allowed for the connection to your Amazon Seller Central account data, right? So your sales data overlaid on top of that. So you can ask things like, hey, search my catalog, find the 3 best ASINs that need optimization right now based on sales and conversion rates that are the priority for content optimization, and surface that to me. It'll tell you exactly what those are. And then you say, great, transform those, and it will just pull straight from Helix and do that. That's a typical use case, right? So these are the kind of things you can do. We're going to walk through some of these use cases today. I want to show you inside of Helix, right? So this is Helix. You have your brands that you set up. You have your products, your transformations. I'm going to talk to this just very briefly again. My goal here is not to dive into the ins and outs of how to use Helix, because there's previous webinars for that, and we have videos. If you got to get started, there's a full video. If you need to watch that, you can. But I'm going to show you on the MCP access first, and then just talk about the solution on the Helix side in short before we jump into the use cases. So as you go, once you've signed up, it's free, right? Just sign up for Helix, right? On the left-hand side where your name is, just click on that, and you're going to see Amazon connections and integrations. Amazon connections is where you just click on that and you can connect directly to your Seller Central account, and you can do it for all the marketplaces that ZonGuru has access to. So all of the USA, North America, all of Europe, and obviously Australia. And that is now, there's tools and skills within that where it can pull sales data, can look at conversion rates, it can look at your portfolio of listings, right? And you can use that however you want. You can say, hey, I want to know what my best selling product is in the last 30 days, whatever that is. You can connect there, and you can get that data. And then the integrations is the other piece, right? And so this is where you go onto integrations. You click on connected apps, right? You can see I'm connected here to ChatGPT and Claude, right? I recommend you connect to both. The reason is that Claude doesn't have a good image, an image tool, whereas ChatGPT is probably the best in the space right now, frankly. And you can just use it on instant, and you'll see the results. I'll show it to you in a second, but it's incredible. So connect to both. When you connect, you just go to Add Assistant, right? I recommend connecting through the web. Don't do it through the desktop. It's just much easier. So go to claudeai.web. Just follow the prompts here. Setting, connectors, add custom connector. Copy this, right? It's easy. Just copy it right here. Drop that in, and then you will be connected, right? And then on ChatGPT, same thing. So just go here, follow these directions, and then connect, right? So if you've got an account and you're not connected yet, you can literally just do that right now, and connect while I'm talking. It's very simple, and it's going to start pulling in the data and having access, right? You can ask it, hey, are you connected? It'll say yes, and you have these connections, right? So here's all the connection on this demo account that I have, and you should be connected. So I recommend connecting both, right? So again, connect the Amazon Seller Central data and the integrations, because now you have the power of both layers, right? You can ask questions to help you figure out what you should be optimizing for, and then do the optimizations, right? Okay, before we jump into, let's see, some more questions here. Thumbs up. Thanks, Helen. Appreciate that. Okay, so another question here about updating listing information. What time frame do you recommend a redo? Is the A10 basically acting as the new opportunity? It's not necessarily called A10. The reality is that A9, the way to reference A9, which is previously how we did it, is really keyword optimization. That's not gone away, and I'm going to show you in the tool. We still do keyword optimization. You absolutely need to do that, right? That's critical. But it's the other pieces, which is the buy Q&A, and then the technical signaling around the product knowledge graph, and then the positioning for your target audience, right? These are critical things that are totally different to how it used to be. You used to have these keyword stuff listings that didn't make any sense. Now you can create these beautiful listings that talk about the positioning, but then obviously signal in the right way, and that is for real in place now. And if you haven't done it already, you're behind, right? And we see listings that are not optimized dropping in traffic, search volume, and they scratching their head not understanding why. And these are the reasons why, right? So we see the opposite. When you do this, we see an increase in sessions, more discoverability, obviously, conversion rates, and niche rank, right? So that is the improvement. So you need to do this now, and if the 75 character count doesn't incentivize you, then I don't know what will. Okay, so you get in here and you can start creating brands straight away, right? So get in, create your brand. I think the one I want to focus on is this brand that sold for $1 billion. Wow, where's Huel? Yeah. So you can create your brand, right? So Huel is a protein drink. It's sold. I know the guy. He's in UK. Anyway, I'm surprised he sold for $1 billion, but he did, which is cool. Good for him. And it'll create your brand and help you with your audience positioning. You'll see as you go through this, you have the ability to input, and that's really critical at this point, that we do the research, but then give you the ability as a subject matter expert to validate the information. Go through that, you'll see the Helix brain working. You create products, same thing, right? You're trying to ensure that you get the ability to input in and understand how the product positioning. This is like the deep research that happens around your niche, right? Understanding what are your competitors all talking about, what is unique to your product, right? And what are we getting from reviews, from customer data? What do they actually want? And we're helping you with the positioning. So you can check the summaries there, and then the transformations, right? So these are the actual transformations that happen. You'll run these transformations. If you do this for the first time, follow along, because you'll see how this actually Helix starts to position your product. Hey, we noticed these things. This is your most important thing that matters to customers. Let's put this first, right? So you'll see all the strategy happening behind it. But you get a couple of different solutions. You get obviously the listing solution. This is the titles, right? You can see the new titles optimized with the highlights, the bullet points, fully optimized for human conversion and for signaling of buyer Q&A and for the semantic mapping. And then, you can see all the solution right here, all optimized, right? Happening all down here. By the way, Huel hasn't even done their item highlights yet, right? Interesting. And back in search terms, we give you all the validation. So we'll show you everything here around the mapping and how it's covered, how it's changed, how it's focused around benefits, etc. We give you all of the keyword optimization, right? You can see here all the keywords that you're now exact and broad matched for, right? Which is critical. And then we give you the buyer Q&A, how we've answered them. And then importantly, we'll give you at the end, you can actually click on ready to launch, and you can see, you can go to the launch setter and you can see exactly how your listing is going to look. You can even do some quick fixes inside of the tool, and you're ready to go, right? So the full, listing transformation is done there on the content side. And then on the image side, I want to touch on this because, clearly this is something we're going to look at right now. We give you all of the deep insights. Like, we understand, hey, at the end of the day, you have a visual narrative in your carousel and your A+ content, your EBC, that needs to convert your customer, right? But it also needs to signal the algorithm. And we dive into it on a deep level, showing you exactly what you should call out. We show you how you buy with your eyes, your visual narrative of what it looks like versus your competitors. And then we go into each image, we tell you the order, and then the actual research insight into what that image should be doing, what the image should look like, any copy overlays that should be happening on there, because that is critical. It helps you with conversion. And then we give you an image prompt, right, that you can actually drop into any image generator to give you the solution. Now, we've done that deliberately because at the end of the day, as a subject matter expert or the agency, you might have a creative team. This is the perfect brief for your creative team to execute on. Or you might want to, as a brand, use an image generator because you feel that it's going to get you far enough. And you can do that, right? So we give you this as the solution. I'm going to show you inside of ChatGPT what this image prompt actually looks like, and how you can do that literally in a couple of minutes and pull a full new carousel stack and what that looks like, right? So this is the product of Helix. Let's jump back into the presentation here, and we're going to jump into some real use cases, right? So let me know if this is going well for you guys. Another question here: if Helix is powerful, then why we integrate ChatGPT and Claude? Very good question. So the reason I explained it up front, but let me talk about that again. We're covering all the use cases, the 90% of how you should be using this inside of Helix for your transformations for Amazon, right? But there are specific use cases that come out, right? Your category, might be like, hey, we need a 200 character count bullet point, right? So how do I then take the essence of what we have and then transform it? Those kind of things we're working into Helix down the road, but there's going to be customized use cases all the time. Mohammed, think about like any software that you're using. You're like, I wish that software did this, right? Because I have a specific use case where I need to use it. So this is why you have the beauty of having a layer of MCP. So you can literally do it as quick as you want, or you want to do an analysis, or like you're like, hey, I'm looking at my dashboard, great, but I actually want to just get an insight around specific ASINs. You can just type that into Claude. It's connected directly to your data, and you can get some of those insights around that might help you with analyzing your data, right? So you're going to see right now how outside of Helix, you have different use cases. So we're trying to help you with the 10% that is not handled inside of Helix that might be really useful for you in your execution, right? Agencies is another case, right? You have SOPs. We're going to bring on Daniel in a second, so we can talk about that. But there's always things that pop up, and you're like, hey, I wish I could just do that in a really fast, efficient way. now that you're connected, you can do that, right? So again, if you talk about software at a high level, your moat is not your UI anymore. How you actually manipulate. Yes, it's going to get you far along around your UI, but your moat is in your data and your structure and how you're doing that in a better way, right? Because that's in essence what you're solving for. So our moat and what we've solved for is like how to really create your content for Amazon GEO and for the best discoverability. And we have a moat around the UI and we use that, but there's always unique use cases. So connecting it directly to MCP, you get that right off the bat, right? So hopefully that answers your question. Good question, though. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's go into some real use cases, right? So I just explained this, right? I think this was with Mohammed's question, right? So Helix is the core asset, but there's a layer that you can add onto this to give you flexibility, customization that goes around that. We're going to start with the image carousel, and we're going to look at the Huel Black Edition chocolate, right? So let's see. I think this is that's that one. Yeah. So this is Huel, right? So again, $1 billion brand, right? That's just sold for over $1 billion. This is their execution on Amazon, right? They have obviously great images, right? I mean, this is $1 billion brand. So I chose this one specifically because I was like, okay, well, let's compete with a good brand that has some good execution. So this is the brand, right? And you can do this for the EBC content as well. I just did the carousel stack. And the big thing about the carousel that's critical and even more critical in the AI moment is people buy with their eyes, right? The 80% of the decision might be made before they even get to the PDP. I'm going to say it again. 80% of the decision is made before you get to the PDP. I've been on Alexa for shopping. I've said, hey, I'm looking for protein shakes, blah, blah, blah. This is who I am. Hey, here's a few examples. Hey, we recommend Huel for X, Y, and Z. Oh, that's cool. I'm pretty much decided. I'm coming here and I'm looking at the carousel. I'm looking at like what's actually showing in the carousel. I'm looking at price, looking at reviews, and I'm converting, right? So the narrative of what you're telling in your carousel is critical for that conversion piece for sure. And there's definitely signaling for the AI as well, right? So let's look at that and let's see what we can do inside of Helix, right? So Huel back. So importantly, this is the Black Edition, right? So the Black Edition is kind of the exclusive, version, right? This is the chocolates. This is their current carousel. So if I'm honest, product shot, nutrition spec, ingredient highlights, dietary claims list, lifestyle. But like if I read this, I'm like high protein, high fiber, cool. Okay, 40 grams, that's important. I know that. Formulated with naturally beneficial ingredients, cool. Only essentials, no extra, unexpected extras. Okay, it's pretty like ingredient based, kind of just telling you along the way what's going on, right? So I basically went and I'll give you this template, right? I just went into into ChatGPT, and I said, hey, pull my image controller that I've created, this template, and do it on the Huel chocolates and give me the new carousel stack that you recommend based on the insights from the image highlight section of the report, right? The actual transformations, which has done a really good job on the strategy of positioning. What do customers care about? How do I position Huel in the best way possible to connect with those customers? And then importantly, tell a visual narrative in the images that go over. And this is the solution that we got, right? So here we go. Bam, this is it, right? So let me see if I can just scroll in a little bit here so you guys can see. Okay, hopefully that's a little clearer. Okay, so a new carousel stack, right? So number one, it's positioned it around this Black Edition, right? So it's brought in this whole idea. I'll show you in the controller, but you can lean on our brand strategy, or you can lean on your current image stack as your baseline for the image, the baseline from the image brand strategy, or a combination of both, right? So I use the combination of both, right? So you can see it's brought this elite feel of the Black Edition in the backgrounds, right? Which is really cool. We've got rid of the chocolate here. It's a little bit more premium, I think, in how it looks. But there's a story that's been told here. The hook, the promise, right? The proof, the moment, the experience, the trust, the payoff, right? So there's a visual narrative being told in here. So the first one here, 40 grams, 27 vitamins, one shake. Really clear, bold. It's making it stand out, right? Complete nutrition, not just protein. This is a really cool insight that it got from the transformation. It understood like, hey, Huel and one of its USPs is like, we're not just talking about protein. It's a full meal nutrition pack with all of these amazing things in here that you can actually replace a meal, right? Lunch break, you don't have one, right? Here's your replacement there, right? smooth every time, no grit, no clumps. This came out of reviews, right? This like clumpy thing. It's going to be smooth. It's going to mix perfectly. You know, a beautiful visual around that. Verified by the ones. This is in line with their tone of voice, which is like pretty like, you know, straight to the point, confident, right? Verified by the ones who don't take our word for it. You know, that's kind of a cool thing, right? Oh, they're verified by all these people, and then 17 complete meals ready when you are, right? The payoff, right? So obviously this is a great brand, right? But you know, if you stack those two, right? Look, in my opinion, I think we're telling a visual narrative. We're connecting with customers. We're talking about what they want from this, and we aligning with the Black Edition, right? So in my opinion, I think this is way better. This is obviously for a brand that does a good job right from the get-go, and we can you know, we can do this on other brands that aren't that optimized. You're going to see even a bigger jump. But how cool is that? Literally dropping in the prompt, right? And I'll give it to you guys in a second. And by the way, I'll give you a link so you guys will get this in your replays. But I'm going to give you a QR code where you can actually get access to all the prompts and this presentation, so you will get this. Let me just bring this down in size again, if I can. There we go. Fix the labeling error as well. You know, one brand, a story, not a spec sheet, right? This is critical. A story, not a spec sheet, right? It's not the ingredient based. Oh, okay, fine. You know, we're looking at that. We're telling a story. That's the beauty of where we can be with Amazon's AI moments. Here's the template, right? So this is literally, I created this with Claude. We tested it with a bunch of things with our team, Daniel as well. But this is a controller, right? So this is a template. And once you take this template and add it into ChatGPT and you say, hey, say this controller, it has the controller there, right? So you just drop the template in, and it's, you know, some of the cool things I built here is like, hey, you know, the style reference, right? So you can decide, hey, if you have a really cool brand that you think is well optimized and it's got a good brand feel, you could say, hey, reference the current carousel stack. I don't want a new brand or a new feel. I want you to reference the current carousel stack brand strategy, but bring the insights from Helix and then create new images, right? Or you can say, hey, I just want to use our brand strategy, right? So use our brand strategy that we created inside of Helix, which is helping with positioning. Use that as your baseline. Or you can do a hybrid, right? The C, right? So you can choose that. And then it will do it'll do an image at a time, or you can ask it to do all 7. I actually got it to do an image at a time, so it'll just do first image. Great. Then you say, yes, that's good. You press go, or hit the second one, etc. Right? So that's it. You guys will get a copy of this, and you can actually go ahead and run that yourself. Yeah, we're going to go into the bulk reformatting. Maybe I'll just jump in and just show you in here, right? So this is in ChatGPT. Here's the controller, right? I just did it on a different brand that I have inside of Helix. I think, what did I have here? I just said, hey, give me image 2 of 7. I did it for Earth's Daughter, right? Here it is. Here's the current image. Where is it? Here's the current image, right? And I said, no, sorry, here's the current image, the second image, right? It just talks about, there's no overlays, nothing that's in there. I said, hey, just run it for image 2. I said, great. It ran the image. Real organic ingredients, nothing hidden, right? Pretty cool. It's calling out in the style of this, right? It's, you know, look at all these cool products that are in here, right? Compare that to this one right here, right? I think we see a winner right there. So you play with it, guys, and see what you think. I can just go in here. I can say, hey, run image 4 of 7 with the controller, right? And it's going to go, great, no problem. We'll just run. It'll develop the image. Take a couple of seconds, and we'll have a new image. We'll come back and look at it in a second. Let's keep going. So yeah, we got creating image. Okay. So bulk format, right? This is one great typical example. We have a specific client in the apparel side of it. They need listings at 200 count, not even the 250. Helix does it at the 500 character count per bullet. The reason we do that, and this is a critical, important point, is in that 500 character count, you can still write beautiful listings that make a lot of sense, but you can also include a lot more of the buyer Q&A, right? You have more content to signal the AI in the best way possible. Amazon's even summarizing those bullet points and giving you just the highlights at the top, right? So yes, it's critical, and customers need to be able to read it, but it's doing a really critical job of signaling the AI. So we always recommend doing the full 500 character count and those listings make sense and they convert and you see an improvement in sessions. So we always recommend the full character count. If you don't want to do that, you want to do 250 or you want to do 200, the key thing is you should be able to use the essence of Helix with Claude to rewrite those bullets, but keep the essence of what's been found in the Helix positioning and transformation, right? And that's what you can do here. So we did this for the heel, right? I just said, hey, can you write this as 250 character counts, right? So it's gone ahead and done that right here. So this is the full 500 counts. This is the after, right? So it's gone down to under 200 character counts in this, but it's kept the essence of it, right? Which is the 400 calorie meal, 40 gram plant protein, right? Slow release carbs keep you fueled, right? So all the key information, it's brought that down. And this is literally took a couple of seconds. It transformed the listings, and we also added inside of the controller that you can just download it into a CSV that you can upload into a partial flat file and get that live, right? So this is an easy one of just transforming the listings. This is actually something that we have almost available inside of Helix, and some versions there where you can actually upfront in your account level choose, do you want 500 character counts or 250 or 200? So it'll set that for you. But right now you can easily just do this straight away inside of Helix, right? And here's the template, right? So we'll give you this. Again, you can just copy this template, drop it into your Claude, and you can use this controller. You can just then reference it and say, hey, give me the bulk reformat controller for 250 character counts, and do it for my top 5 ASINs out of Helix, or my top 5 ASINs out of my current listings, whatever you want. It'll transform it, right? So you get that, and you can get that done, no problem. Thanks, Deborah. Appreciate the note there. Thank you, Deborah, for all your comments here. Any other comments, guys? Keep them coming, because this is really cool stuff, and I know you have questions around this. So if you have them, let's talk about it right now. We'll have some Q&A at the end as well, and we'll come back to this. But if you have any questions as we go, I'd love to answer them and go through that. So okay, so I included this just as a reference point, right? So a full hero transformation. There's no MCP that you need for this, because you do this literally inside of Helix, right? And so this is what a listing looks like when you add it into the launch center, right? You can see I did this for Helix Claude, right? It was really interesting when I went through the Helix Claude around how it positioned the product, right? Different even to how Helix Claude does it, which is obviously a massive brand on Amazon. And I'm going to show you the brand strategy document on this in a second. So we'll come back to this. But again, if you're just doing your character count or doing your current listing, not looking at the transformation to signal and also the image side, you're missing the point of what you should be doing. And if you get ahead of it right now, you're beating your competitors, right? I can't tell you how much we run every single week. We're running Cosmo readiness reports on current listings. 90% of them have not changed the character count and the item highlights, right? So people are behind. You guys need to get ahead of this right now. We're already pushing these live, and we're seeing, to the comment that came earlier, we're getting rewarded by Amazon by doing it, right? So get in and do that. Okay, Walmart. Everyone comes back. Hey, does this work for Walmart? At the end of the day, we're structuring content for Amazon, right? For sure, but it's no secret. It's an LLM. It's AI driven. Walmart. Shopify. All of them are looking for the same kind of technical structure in the background. Obviously, it's a little bit more specific on Amazon, and we're using Amazon data. But if you want to certainly get ahead of the game, even from the signaling perspective, using this on other platforms can work totally fine. So here's one where we just said, hey, we'll create this to Walmart requirements, right? So here's the rules. So I literally asked, I said, hey, give me the rules for Walmart from Claude, right? It gave me all the rules. I said, great, build me a controller on this based on our transformations, keep the essence, transform it. So it gave me all the key things here, right? So here's all the requirements, and then it took the same listing and then transformed it, right? So we started with Helix Claude, and then it wrote it in a way for Walmart, and you can even put in the controller, download it as a CSV at the end, and you can get the CSV and you can use it, right? You can do that for Walmart. You can do it for Shopify. You can do it for whatever you want. This is a typical, Mohammed, going back to your question, if Helix has it, what else can you use it for? Here's a great example. Go for it. Here's the template, right? We will give you this as well. Once you have that controller in place, bam, you have access to that, and we can go from there. Okay, last one before we bring on the tool showcase and we bring Daniel into it. Again, looking forward for the comments or the thumbs up. I want to make sure that we have questions here and that you guys are seeing value in what we're going through here. So please let me know. What have we got? Brand strategy. Okay, so this is me coming as a brand guy, right? A marketing guy. And I see the value of what we create inside of Helix, right? Because we've built it in a way where we say, okay, seller, agency, let's start with the brand, right? This is what we can tell you about the brand, looking at your website, looking at the Amazon niche, looking at what's out there right now. Here's a brand positioning of like your mission statement, your brand tonality, your unique selling proposition, your validation, your social cues, whatever that is, we give it to you. But there's such a value in that, right? And then we do it on the product side, and we help you with your positioning. Positioning is, as I said, the mecca of marketing, right? If you can position correctly, that's how you win, right? Helix Claude has done a great job because and it shows you in this document, they brought in Gordon Ramsay, right? And that's part of their positioning and their unique selling proposition, right? It's backed by a guy like Gordon Ramsay, right? And so this document is so useful. If you can do it here, and let's say you don't have a brand strategy document, you can take this, you can export it, and you give this beautiful PDF to your agency, to your Shopify person, to whoever it is, your creative people. This is how we want to talk about our brand, right? And so you can get this, and you can go back and forth, look at this. Oh, it's cool, but I want to add this. You can, talk to Claude as much as you want. You're going to get this, right? But it's based on real data out of Helix, which is so different to anything else that you can have out there, right? Help you see the forest from the trees. So this is a full PDF. Inside of the download we give you, this is a PDF, so you can see what your document's going to look like, right? So you can run through the story, right? Built in the financial terror, one Costco Saturday, right? It talks about how this guy was down in the dumps, just about to lose out on everything, and managed to pull this together. And he talks about his background, right? The technology copied, the chefs did not, right? So it talks about the positioning, right? It gets into really cool things here. What the data found. 2 things worth knowing before the next listing update, right? Brand's most defensible credibility signal isn't in the listing. A phrase the brand's own research flags is currently live, right? So it's just called out some things that need to be fixed, right? But then it looks in, this is what I'm saying. 4 buyer needs, only one Helix Claude still owns alone, right? So this is really interesting because it calls out, some of the key things around, this brand, but it can't stand up against competition, right? So it talks here about how it sears like steel, releases. It talks about the non-stick, right? But it's partial. It's not a differentiator, right? It's parity. Then it talks about harmful chemicals, right, which you get off a pan. So it's a little bit vulnerable there, right? Don't maybe baby this pan. So it talks about seasoning and all that kind of stuff. Partial, but not audience dependent. And then it talks about, hey, the proof this is actually professional grade, not just a marketing claim, right? And so it's got this backing of Gordon Ramsay, and they talk a lot about the professional use of this in the chef environment, right? And that's what they have the backing behind, and that's the true differentiator. And it's made a massive, once they got this backing, it made a huge difference. So it's talking about that, right? 7 reasons buying the Helix Claude over a cheaper pan. It gives you all of this, right? Then it gets into the brand, how the brand sounds: confident, disruptive, chef-led, never apologetic. It gives you examples here of how to use it before and after, right? Positioning lines, right? The pan that changed everything. Every other pan was a compromise. Structural protection built into every inch, right? So it's giving you everything here. You can use the stuff on other platforms, right? Really cool. Proof points, right? Gordon Ramsay, etc. talks about this. Guardrails, not suggestions, right? Every pain point's met with a mechanism. This is literally just generated out of the controller. How AI shopping engines currently read this brand. So it gives you all of this, right? Which is really cool. Brand strategy controller. Here it is, right? So you can copy this, drop it in, ask for a brand strategy document. I think this took me under 2 minutes to produce, right? It's unbelievable what can be done these days. So very cool. Okay, so I'm going to go over to the tool showcase. Let's see if there's any questions here real quick. And I'm going to bring Daniel on in a second. Where do you put the controllers? Thanks, Josh. Where do you put the controllers in each project or project instructions? Literally just going to, we're going to cover this with Daniel right now, but you can literally go into, open a new chat and just drop that chat into, drop that controller. Just say, hey, Claude, are you connected to Helix ZonGuru? It's going to say, yes, I am. Hey, what's up? And you will be like, hey, I want to look at doing my brand carousel. Here's my template controller. I'm going to drop this in. Do you recognize it? Yes, I see your controller. Great. Okay, so now can you find me the best transformation that we should look at? The image controller, recommend it, and then drop in drop in all the information. It'll drop in the ASIN, it'll drop in all the image prompts and say, great, I've got everything. You say, great, hit go, and then it goes, right? So it'll start to put in. You don't have to copy and paste anything over. Once the controller's in there, it works. So just drop it into a new chat and it's there, right? And you can access it whenever you want. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this. I want to go over the tool showcase in a second. This is available to you as well, but this is all the other kind of use cases that you can pull over. But what I wanted to do is bring Daniel on again. He's the director of our managed services division with the whole team, where he's got real practical examples of how he uses it. I want to just talk to him for 10 minutes before we get into closing this out and looking at some of these tool showcases, and then obviously give you guys access to the full prompt and offer. But I want to bring Daniel on so that we could cover this. So I want to stop sharing my screen for a second. Let's see. Okay, and then if you can bring Daniel in. See my screen? Yeah, there's Daniel. All right, Daniel.
Hello.
So Daniel and I have known each other for, hey, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging on, dude. I know you jam with a bunch of stuff, but Daniel and I have known each other for a long time. He's from LA originally, lives out in Amsterdam, and he, is deeply connected on the ZonGuru side, but also part of our managed services division. So we have certain brands that we work with on the managed services side, because they've asked us to do it, but secondly, because it's an incubator to help us with our development of our product, right? So, and helping to create better things for agencies. So we work closely with agencies, but we're coming from the DNA of actually being an agency ourselves. And so I thought it'd be really cool to bring Daniel on, just just have a fireside chat, Q&A, and maybe look at a couple of examples of you guys are deep in Helix and using that across a bunch of brands. But what are some real life applications of how you use this across some brands? So I just want to spend a couple of minutes. So thanks, Daniel, for jumping on.
Sure. Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks, John. Hey, everyone. Really excited to be here. As John has just mentioned, I do spend most of my time kind of in the trenches with our clients. And what I do want to do today is take the next few minutes to really just walk through a few actionable use cases, as John mentioned. And these are specific tasks that our account teams are currently applying in their work, working at that exciting new intersection between Helix, Seller Central, and ultimately Claude together. I think that intersection has been really interesting, and I think every day we're kind of realizing how valuable it is. And I think, while we are in the process of building out some agency-specific SOPs and standardizing process for this new tech, I just want to say the first thing right off the bat is it's so clear that we are just scratching the surface of what's possible here, just the actual full capabilities. So again, today is just going to be a quick touch base on maybe 3 use cases. I've pulled out 3 that I think are particularly interesting. The first one, I'm just calling it like our agency command center. It's essentially a way to avoid having to kind of navigate across a bunch of different tabs and a bunch of different logins. And it basically positions Claude as this hub at the center of all of your Amazon data, including Helix, including Seller Central. And it allows us to really stack and manage multiple brands at once, again, without the headache of having to navigate across so many different platforms. The second one is, it kind of piggybacks on what John just presented around brand strategy. I just want to give a quick use case maybe on how it's used for competitive research and just how valuable that can be in a really quick way to get some key valuable information. And then lastly, again, just building off of this idea of text formatting. Obviously, we've got the deadline of July 27th coming up. And, when it comes to managing and reformatting titles, we know that it can be a lot of manual work involved. So, we've come up with a solution that I think it'll be something that a lot of you managing large catalogs will certainly appreciate. And that's around this title reformatting. Obviously, there are limitations around that if those products haven't already been run through Helix. But we at least want to give a quick use case. So we can go ahead and
let's go. I mean, just to jump in there to the comment, but we've talked about this before, right? And we were like, what do we need to show everyone here? Because there's thousands of use cases of how we can use this, and our team is literally building SOPs on a daily basis, right? And one of the cool ideas that I think we are going to action, we still need my product team to validate, but like I think it's going to be cool inside of Helix to build on the left hand side. We can just build like a MCP asset library, right, where all the templates will be in there, so you guys can go in there, look at all the use cases, and just grab them out of there. This is obviously the start where we're showing you, but I think over time we're going to build that MCP asset library in the left-hand column so you guys can pull those assets. If you like that idea, definitely thumbs up for me so that we get some good feedback here. And any other ideas you guys have, like give that feedback, right? So but yeah, Daniel, I mean, like jump in and show show a couple of examples of what you're doing here, because I think we just said, like, we need a few minutes here, so just pull out a couple. So yeah, I totally agree. Let's jump in.
Perfect. We'll keep it really high level. And sorry guys, it looks like maybe I'm having a little bit of connection issues, so hopefully it's okay on your end.
Yeah, we can see. Yeah, good.
So yeah, the first thing I just want to flag, obviously, Jon mentioned at the very beginning with the MCP connections, we've actually solved something really significant, especially for our agency clients, in the ability to link multiple Helix accounts to a single Claude account. That's just something I want to call out right off the bat. Again, for the sake of this demo, obviously I'm anonymizing data here, but you can see just up here that we've got, just in this example, about 8 different Helix accounts connected here in Claude. And that just already illustrates kind of how this connection can be used and the power of being able to pull that data in, analyze it, evaluate it, learn from it, and then make it work for you in your strategic decisions and ultimately your, how you're managing your brand. So that's the first thing I quickly want to flag. The first example, as I mentioned, this agency command center. I've already run this. It's pretty quick, but I just wanted to kind of walk through what my process was. And again, there's a lot of extra pieces here kind of in the prompt because it is based on, we need to make this confidential, obviously, for, respect to clients. But the task that I'm really asking right now is essentially across all of the brands that we have connected in Helix, what should I care about first? Like what should I prioritize and what needs my attention right now? That's
by the way,
a
just
key
a comment
question
on
that we get across the brands that we work with. And you can imagine yeah, sure.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, a little bit of delay. But what I was going to say is, like, so Daniel's thinking about it from an agency across all clients, but like that same prompt as a brand, you can just be like, what should I prioritize first for my specific ASINs, right? So you can see when he's going through this, you can apply it to a brand lens or obviously an agency lens. Just wanted to make that note.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. It's really just prioritizing your tasks. And, within a very quick view, you're able to break down whether it's your brand, whether it's your product, or it just really helps to take the information from Helix, pull in information, sales, and to just evaluate where should we start. Sorry, you still got me there?
Yeah, we got you. It was breaking up a little bit. I got you back.
Sorry. Are we having some connection issues?
A little bit, but we can hear you.
All right. Sorry about this, guys. Yeah, ultimately, this prioritization is really valuable. You can imagine, the use case of sitting down to your computer first thing the day, running a quick task and then getting a quick feel. All right, what do I need to prioritize today? What's the kind of the list that I should, create for myself? That can be valuable, again, at the agency level, but also at the brand level. From there, hey, let's go ahead and rank these by urgency. Which client or which task needs a response from me now versus later in the week. And it, is very easily able to pull in using your data from your account, specifically, all right, here, for this natural foods and supplements client, all right, we've got an urgent thing. We need to go ahead and actually rerun our transformation. This is a product priority. Let's go ahead and just do that first. Next, we've got a bags and travel gear client. Okay. There's some work that's in progress, but ultimately there are a few questions that need to be answered. Great, we'll tackle that next. And it just basically makes your team much more efficient, or your, kind of in-house brand managers much more efficient. You always know what's important, and it surfaces it right to the top.
Awesome.
And of course, the last thing, which is perhaps the most important, is how do I solve these quickly? And ultimately, again, give me the context I need to actually resolve this highest priority task in under a minute. Boom. Here's the first task. What do we need to do? What product is it for? What's our current score pre-transformation? And ultimately, when we do run that Helix transformation, what can we really expect for it to improve? So really powerful. Again, a very good, just like general evaluation type command center task that you can apply immediately with this connection in place. The next thing I want to quickly flag has to do with brand strategy and research. Again, this kind of falls on the back of what Jon just mentioned with Helix Claude. The task is simple. Show me the key brand level differentiators and do not mention restrictions that Helix has on file for a specific brand or product or whatever you might like. Very quickly, you'll find that able to extract very valuable information, just basically summarizing at a glance, here's the key brand information. Here are the differentiators based on, again, that detailed brand strategy research that happens during the brand and product setup, really just synthesized into kind of the and also, here we go, the do not mention or the restricted list. So this can also be really valuable for content writers or just creative team that really wants to understand how our brand differentiates from others. This can be very valuable right off the bat. It's also really good for comparisons. So, hey, if you want to pull a different client in a different category just to understand kind of how those differentiators work across categories, that's a very straightforward way to just do some really quick product research. And perhaps, what's also valuable is, again, this connection to Amazon Seller Central, to Helix. You're also pulling in data. So you can also understand in the context of these, in this differentiation, in the context of the things that we're, restricting ourselves not to say, how's performance? And so again, now we ultimately have access to the data behind this and understanding performance. And I realize this first example is actually showing two different categories. What's probably more valuable is the actual competitive landscaping. So that's the final example I have here is basically you've got client A, which in this case is pet supplements. There we go, pet supplements. And we've got client C, which is another competitor, but we're looking at the differentiators. So you have a really clear side-by-side view. How am I different from my competition? And you can understand right off the bat, okay, my in this case, pet supplements, my products are designed specifically for small breed, specific dosage. We know that that's like a core audience for us. And that's a key differentiator because my competitor is actually targeting senior dogs. And that's just a completely different set of product benefits. It's a completely different tone, completely different set of creative guidelines that we might apply when ultimately, going back and running this kind of creative insight. So again, super high level, but this is a really valuable way that, again, using that Helix and Seller Central connection together, using Claude as the kind of the interaction, the interface that we're using, you can get to some really interesting category level competitive research. The last thing I want to share has to do with bulk title reformatting. Again, this kind of builds on kind of the bullet reformatting that Jon was just speaking to, but obviously this is particularly relevant. So I'm just going to go ahead and run this. We can do this one together. And for the sake of the exercise, we want to focus on a brand, again, that has a large enough catalog, ultimately has products that are, with titles that are not yet optimized for this 75-125 split that we know is coming. So as it's running, you can see it's pulling in different tools. These are, this is pretty typical of kind of the MCP flow. Got it. And you can see it's assembling the titles directly from Helix, directly from Seller Central. And we can see a lot of these are running a bit long, right? These are not necessarily going to work for our purposes. And hang on. moment.
I gotcha.
Just again, using this interface, we're going to go ahead and apply what we're essentially doing right now has more to do with text reformatting. And 27th. So it's not necessarily the ideal scenario where we would ultimately run full transformations for each one of these products. That's where you really get of the data and ultimately the intelligence behind the service and the tool. But in this case, you know, if many of these products have previously been optimized, maybe, you know, a month or two ago, we're actually, you know, happy to go ahead and find a solution that does cut down the character count and allows us to do this in an efficient way. We just have to know where those limitations are. All right, all right. We're just going to let this go a little bit longer. You guys still with me?
Yeah, can you hear me? I know there's a delay on our side, but I'm following along. So I think it's just slowed down a little bit with obviously Claude doing all the work.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
All good, all good. Following along.
Apologies for that. Yeah, ultimately, again, just basically using Claude. Yeah, using Claude and using this connection, you can see we're pretty quickly able to split, you know, the titles as needed. You know, we've got our new titles within our character count. We've got our, you know, specific item highlights here. And again, I just want to emphasize that formatting wise, sure, this works, you know, like textually, and, you know, you'll be technically compliant, but are you really squeezing the optimization juice that you need to, and ultimately applying the detailed level of keyword insight, keyword intelligence to make sure that your item highlights are not only correctly as powerful as it possibly can be, you know, to drive organic rank. So again, while not ideal, it is certainly functional. And yeah, in general, you know, if we just look for kind of Claude to evaluate it, you can see we're taking the original title claims. Like, these are the things that Claude is good at. It's taking the information it has and it's using it. But again, it's very surface level. You know, it's not necessarily able to pull in all that back end intelligence. Awesome. So it's just something to keep in mind. You know, and being able to run a transformation for each of these products would unlock that and allow that to happen, you know, in a much more powerful way. So those are just three quick examples that I wanted to share with you today.
Yeah, Daniel, I know. There we go. Hopefully now that you're not sharing your screen, maybe we'll get you back on time with me. But can you hear me? Great. Yeah, perfect. So you know,
perfect. Sorry about that.
There's a little bit of a delay, but that's okay. So I couldn't have a deep Q&A, but we followed along, and just to kind of recap there with everyone, you know, what Daniel was showing there was a live example of the character count change. But the key there is like, hey, you know, some clients might say, hey, we've got a whole bunch of optimized listings that just went live, so we don't need to re-optimize. Or in our case, even we have some ones that have already been optimized with Helix, but previous to the character count change. So we literally can just go in and with this Claude thing, say, pull all those ASINs and just change the character count, because we know that we've got an optimized listing already. We just need a new formatted character count. So it's up to you to make the decision as a seller or an agency. Hey, is the listing already well optimized? We just want to change the title, right? Great, go ahead and do that. Or is there actually, you know, a challenge here where we need to optimize the whole listing? So let's transform the listing inside of Helix, and then you already have the new character count, so you can use that, right? So Daniel, thanks for jumping on, man. I think, you know, the point of that was to show real examples of how you guys are using it at the surface, you know, scratching the surface of just how we're using it, and for different use cases, right? And, you know, when we're driving the business, great, we can do it in the way we want, but ultimately sometimes clients are like, hey, we need to just do all the character counts right now, and then how can we be efficient with that? Here's a great example of how we've done that, you know, within Helix. So super cool, man. I appreciate you coming on. Yeah, obviously
Sure.
you guys will get a recording here, so we'll have that afterwards.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Daniel. Appreciate it, man. Okay, so let's go
See you.
back into the presentation here. I've got some questions to go over, but before we go into questions, I want to make sure that I share my screen real quick. Let's go here. I want to make sure that we come back to our good old image that we just generated, right? So you remember I dropped that in here, run image 4 of 7. So let's go ahead and look at 4 of 7. Where are we? We're here. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So 4 of 7, like any of these, right? So this one's a good example, right? So this is image 4, right? This is how it looks today. No copy overlays, obviously showcasing the product, great. But what do we see inside of ChatGPT, right? We see nourishing moisture for everyday lips made with simple organic ingredients that helps you to protect and hydrate, right? So, and it's giving some of the really key things that are called out here. Beautiful image, obviously the background, everything here. So guys, I mean, it's so clear right here. Like, firstly, that brand is losing because they don't have image overlays and copy overlays, which are critical for AI readability, but absolutely for narrative and conversion. This is having it in here. It's in the style, right? There's a cool style created here. And when you put all these together, image 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you're going to start to see the narrative, just like we did on the hillside, right? This took a couple of 30 seconds, a minute to generate, right? So, and you can do your whole carousel in one shot. Imagine the difference it's going to make to your revenue and conversions once you push this live. Pretty crazy, right? Okay, so let's go back to the presentation because we're going to go into the offer. And I do have some questions that are coming up here. So I'm going to come back to some questions in a second because there's a few here. I wanted to highlight this, right? So, inside when you connect to your MCP inside of Claude, you can go to connectors and you can see all the tools that are listed, but I've summed them up here, right? So here's all the tools: search Amazon catalog, get Amazon competitor data, get Amazon offers, right? Get Amazon sales, fees, get Amazon feedback, create product, list products, so this is, so you can see them all highlighted here, like transformation pipeline, evaluate product edits, confirm product edits, right? Accounts, get, you can pull directly from, so there's a whole bunch of tools that are available. And I've just used Claude to just say, hey, based on all the tools that are available, summarize them into different use cases of how this can be used. So this is just to give you an idea of like the power of what you can explore, like competitive market intelligence. Daniel covered that, right? Your own Amazon performance. Hey, pull my sales and traffic for the last 30 days. Which listings have high conversions, high sessions, but weak conversions? I want to optimize those next, right? Brand and product management. Add this new ASIN to my Helix Claude brand in Helix and kick off the intake. All right, great. I'll kick it off. Transformation. Which of my transformations are more than 90 days old and could use a refresh? Great. I want to add a new claim to bullet 3. Check it against the brand voice before you confirm it. Right, great. What's sitting in my Helix inbox that needs decisions right now? Which ones do I need to run? So like, here's a whole bunch of questions, right? But there's a lot, and you will get this obviously as part of the deliverable to come back on that. All right, so offers, right? So anybody who hasn't signed up and you want to sign up right now, you have 48 hours if you register. Again, if you register with Helix, you can run brands and products all day. It's just part of the interface. And you can run your MCP connections and look at sales data. It's just part of the interface. You get that. It's when you do the transformation, the actual transformation, that it's a charge of a credit. They start at $50 a credit. So one listing transformation at the hero level is $50. You will literally get that ROI back in 3 seconds once you post that live. I guarantee you. So it's incredibly powerful, and the value is there. And obviously, you buy more credits, you get you further discounts, right? So you'll see that when you jump in. What we are offering right here is that if you sign up in the next 48 hours between now and the replay, whatever credits you buy, you have to buy at least 3 credits. We'll give you 25% more credits, right? So, 3, it's 30, but we're going to round you up, right? So we'll round you up. We'll give you, if you buy 3, you'll get an extra 1. If you buy 10, you'll get an extra 3. We'll work it through like that. So we'll just manually add additional free credits to your accounts based on how many you purchase. We're going to look at everyone who's signing up. I know there's a lot of you right now, but if anybody signs up in the next 48 hours, we will go in and add additional credits to your account, up to 25% of what you purchase, right? So go in and get the credits and then start your MCPs, get through it. If you want to go to that, zonguru.link/Helix, I'm going to type that. Actually, Eva's already added it. Thank you. zonguru.link/Helix. You will get those credits straight off the bat. Now, full prompt library, right? So again, just this is in the chat, so you can get that. But again, go to that, sign up, and we'll know you're coming through this webinar, and therefore we'll give you the extra 25% credits. Full prompt library. So all these prompts, right? The transitions, the controllers, everything here, you will have access to that. I will give you a link right now so you can get to this presentation. The link, if you want to add that in there, Evo, that'll be great. If you have your phone and you just want to screenshot that, that QR code will get you into a folder. This, I'll go to the folder in a second because I want you guys, if you have a phone, just pull it out. There's a link also being added into the chat if Evo's there, with access to this folder, right? There it is, zonguru.link/MCP-assets. So put that in, it'll take you to a Google Drive folder. You can download the presentation from today. It's an HTML format, or I've PDF'd it. And you can also get access to the prompt library as a PDF or as HTML, whatever you want. And you can add that into your controllers so that you have them there and you can start playing around. You will go through 2 hours of time like that. I guarantee you, it's a lot of fun just going through all the different use cases in your head of what you can use it for. So this is what the folder looks like. It's right here. And you will have all the PDFs, and you have HTML. If you want to use that, just download it. And then you can open up in a browser and you'll have that there. So this is the link again, if you haven't done it, or on the chat. And again, all the other free links that I added at the top, the assets, to make sure that you're on board for the next few webinars. We have a lot more on this MCP side that we're going to be diving into, bringing in some other partners. We're testing it with some big agencies right now, and they are high-fiving us because we're helping them so much with things like the 75 character count that needs to be done, which is pretty epic. Okay, so let's go back to here. Here's the offer. I have a couple more questions. So Q&A, guys, if you have any questions, let me know, so that we can go through. I want to go back to some questions that were asked here. Deborah, is the controller the brand story or a separate thing completely? So the controller, it's taking the brand story that we've created and the product summaries, which is around the positioning, and it's putting it together into one brand strategy document, right? So at the end of the day, what we're trying to solve for, again, with brand strategy is, like, what are the things that customers care about most that we need to call out as part of the product and the brand it's going to help them connect emotionally and convert. How do we position that product perfectly, and how we do that within your tone of voice, right? Your tone of voice, your brand style, all that kind of stuff, right? So it solves for that whole section of the brand and the product together, right? And obviously the deep research against your competitors and everything else, on there. So that's the question answered there. Joshua answered yours. Cool. Important question, Helen. How do you know when AI makes a mistake, right? So this is a critical piece, right? Because obviously there's hallucinations that happen with AI, right? Inside of Helix, we have massive amounts of checks and balances that happen all the time. It's called loops, right? So whenever you do something, we loop it back and we check it against like an objective assessment of that to make sure that it's not hallucinating it. Check it back against the brand, fix things as they go. You kind of see some loops happen. If you put on Claude and you put it on, even with the latest one, and or Sonnet, right, 5, and you put on high, you'll see it doing those loops where it's like, oh, I actually found an issue that I didn't correct. By the way, I've gone back and checked it, right? So we're constantly doing a lot of these loops and checks so that the hallucinations don't happen. That's number one. And number two, that's why we also added the validation steps. When we do the brand and we do the product, we give you the summaries. Hey, this is what we recommend. Here's everything that we are saying around positioning, whatever. But we have some questions. We're not 100% sure on this. Can you validate? And it will stop you and say, hey, validate, and you validate. Or, hey, can you choose between these two things? Like, do you have X compliance, right? No, we don't have it. Or yes, we do. So the checks and balances are done at the AI level with the loops for sure, but it's also given to you as a subject matter expert for you to validate at those stages. And I can't stress enough, if you don't put extra effort into the brand and the product side, your output is going to be worse, right? So make sure you take the brand strategy validation and input, because you can add your own information there as well. And on the product side, the validation input, the more effort you put into that, the better your outcome is going to be, right? So we're giving you the opportunity as the human subject matter expert to give input into that. Really important point. All right. Sorry about the freezing, guys. Yeah, that's fine. Yes, you will get the recording. It'll be all good there. Any more questions, guys? Let me know. I know there's still a bunch of people on here. I can see, we have plenty of people live, which is good. Everyone stayed through, which is great. Full prompt library, everything you need. Again, zonguru.link/Helix, plus all the free resources we include in the beginning. Plus, of course, if you need it, you can jump on right here and use the QR code and get access to those assets. And then importantly, where is it? Right here. So get in there, guys. When you go in here, hit the send feedback button, right? On the left-hand side, when you're inside and you're looking at this and you're like, hey, you know what? Like something was weird here, or like, hey, I have an idea. Go here, capture page if you want. It'll just capture your page. It'll drop it back into the send feedback. Here I have a screen capture or whatever, and I can say, hey, this is a feature request, and I can just type in whatever I want, right? This goes directly to our product team, right? And you can type in, right, and you can send. You can do a bug, general feedback, other, hey, I have an idea. Hey, I started using MCP. I'd love to see if we could do something on X, Y, and Z. All that feedback literally goes into our product team. They are hungry for that information, and you will literally see updates happen in a second. This is the new world we live in AI development, right? Is like we can move at a massive pace. So you will literally see things live next week if you put things in today, right? So this is really important. Send the feedback as you can. Any other questions? Kerry, no problem. Thank you. Oh, here we have one. Let's see. What is the question I have here? When I sign into ZonGuru, use my website to build the brand positioning. That is not updated. Can I submit updated information? Yes. So, Andrew, really important point. And we've seen this a bunch of times, right? Where people actually, run the brand, right? And up front, it'll pull, if you put in a URL, it's going to pull content from your website, right? As a starting point, and it looks at other third-party sources as well. If you're, what we've had from brands come back is they say, oh, geez, that's not actually how I should be positioning my brand. That's wrong. I need to update my website, right? One thing is you can skip pulling on the website and you can just go through the questionnaire and fill out the information. So if you have a brand strategy document that's more on point, you can just submit that information. So you can skip pulling the URL if you want, and it's going to create a brand strategy of the information you add. Or to Andrew's point, if you've since updated your website and you want to rerun it, just go into the brand and just rerun your brand, right? So you can rerun it, you can delete it, add your brand again, and then you run your transformations off of the latest brand and product side, right? So you can delete it, you can update it, whatever you need. So you can certainly go back and refresh and run that. So yeah, good question. I think that's it, guys. So I hope everyone loved this. There are going to be more, again, newsletter, LinkedIn. You'll see the more posts coming up. This is a powerful area. And again, embracing this idea of MCP connection, both at the ownership level of being a brand or an agency, but certainly, as being a technology platform. What's come out of me when just doing this is just it validates how powerful our Helix brain is and the structured listing engineering that we're doing. And we're solving it for certainly in the UI, and you can use it, but like you have your use cases and your ways of doing things and your platforms and the way you work with your team, you can literally do that, and it's pulling the data directly, which is unbelievable. It is massively powerful, and I hope you guys get a lot of use out of it. And there's more to come on this front. Get in, sign up for Helix, and start doing your character counts through Helix transformations, and we'll see you soon. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it. And you will get copies of this in your emails. Look out for it. You're getting 2 email follow-ups in the next couple of days. So check that out and then join the newsletter, find out about the next one. We have a pretty cool one coming up with Intent-wise, which should be good. So we'll see you guys in the back end. Cheers for now. Bye.